welcome everybody. We'll give it a few more minutes for people to join. Thanks for joining us, Bruno.
Good morning. Thank you, Leon.
Okay, I think we can kick off, Bruno, if you're all ready.
Yes, ready to go.
Perfect. So thanks everyone for joining. First and foremost, today we'll be sharing some insights on DRC alongside some key trends and innovations. I'm joined by Bruno today, who is a SD and DRC S4 expert. I'll briefly talk you through the agenda of what we'll be sharing today. So first and foremost, we'll do a quick round of introductions between myself and Bruno. We'll talk about the current landscape and key trends of DRC. Also share with you some industry-specific insights. Give you a little bit of an insight into what is coming up with the information that we have at hand and some certain insights that Bruno has. And then we'll give you guys a chance to ask any questions that you might have around anything pertaining to the webinar or SAP DRC in general. And that will be it. So without further ado, I'll introduce myself. My name is Leon Steffen. I'm the practice lead of Trillion. I've been with Trillion/the Montage Group for just over 4 years now. And we look over a number of topics in the SAP domain, including SAP DRC, which is where I will hand over to our associate Bruno.
Yes, sure. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. It's a pleasure to have so many people, participants on this, interested on this topic, right? So yes, let's join on this webinar with us. So my name is Bruno Orozio. I'm a S4HANA consultant. My main background is sales and distribution. And during my 20 years of experience, I would say that at least 13 or 14 years I have been implementing e-invoice solutions and also fiscal and accounting solutions. So it has started before the GRC. In fact, it has started with Brazil, North Africa implementation. Then I also went through other South America countries, North America, Europe, and Asia. And today we are diving into some functionalities of SAP Reporting Compliance, commonly known as SAP DRC. And let's explore a little bit of the current landscape. As Leon said, what is coming in the next few months. So yeah, we can start. So let's go to the next slide.
Sure. So first and foremost, the objective of this webinar for everyone joining, to give you a deep dive into the intricacies of SAP DRC. We're also exploring how you can leverage this powerful tool when it comes to the growing challenges of global regulatory compliance. And with that, we'll start with the current landscape, and Bruno will give you an overview of this and also the key trends in DRC at the moment. I'll hand over to you, Bruno.
Thank you. Okay, so then here is the main picture of SAP DRC. So SAP Document Reporting Compliance is the biggest system that SAP is delivering for reporting statutory reports and other also fiscal obligations, and also for e-invoice solution. So in the starting point, in the step number 1, we have the source of the information, which can be SAP S4HANA, S4HANA Cloud, or other ERP version as well. So then it's important to say that it's also integrated with the other SAP systems like SIM, Ariba, Concur. And what we have in the S4 or in the ERP side is local mappings. We have some scenarios that we can activate it, and then enabling the integration with DRC, which is the responsible to the communication with the B2B partners or platforms or also authorities, right? And then in the SAP DRC, we have 2 versions. We have, let's say, the customer tenant, right, which is on-premise version. And then SAP now is really pointing to the cloud option, because then you can just enable the scenarios specific to the countries or specific to the business scenario. And that is where SAP is pointing to the future's implementation. Okay. As main functionality, we have the submission of the invoices and also to the statutory reports. This also stores all the integration methods that you may have, like digital signature, digital certificates, and the main benefits that I would say that implementing the cloud version, which is where SAP is now pointing to, is that you have almost plug and play solutions, right? So different from the past where you needed to build the entire integration from your side, and SAP was just releasing like some BAPs and BADs where you needed to implement the logic by yourself. Now you have some plug and play integrations, which make the things much easier. And then you just needed to configure the mappings in the S4 side or in the ERP side. Okay. And then in the last point, we have the authorities or the partners. One important point here is also the integration with PEPL. I don't know if everybody knows, but PEPL is being very used in the global scenario currently. We have a lot, it has started with some European countries. Then Singapore, I think that was the first one outside Europe to adopt also the PEPL. And now we have more Asia countries, we have Australia, we have Canada, US, and other countries as well that are adopting PEPL. And then I think that is also one thing that is coming for the future, right? So we have not only the integration, but the standardization of the integration and of the layouts. And I think that PEPL for now is the strongest one model that's being adopted by the different countries. Okay, so then we can go to the next slide. Yeah, okay. So then, talking a little bit about the business background. So as I already mentioned, we have SAP document reporting and compliance. This is grouping and integrating with all the SAP solutions, as for HANA, Bring, XM. And then it's covering all those e-invoice needs and also statutory reports, which include invoices, payroll information as well, and statutory reporting, connecting not only tax authorities, but also all the partners, B2B, B2G, with different scenarios, right? We have, as business background, and this is not new, but we have all the authorities in all the countries increasing even more the complexity and comparing also the data, right? So we started with the e-invoice and they are checking only if the document was correct. Now, as we have also the e-statutory reporting and these kind of new obligations, they are comparing what we are sending the invoices with the balance sheet. So then they are being more and more complex to the customers, right, to send the right information and avoiding any kind of problem with the authorities, right? Also, we have different integration methods that is being covered by DRC. We will see some of them. Statutory reports for different countries with VAT and different kind of information. Also, payroll information and how SAP is helping with the solution and what is the main goals of the DRCs to have one single channel for submission. So you see some samples of Fiori apps that we have like all the countries, and we can check the status of the statutory report and obligations for each country, but we can also have a consolidated view, which helps to ensure that we are covering all the countries and everything is going good for the closing. We have a simplifying of the IT landscape, right? So instead of having multiple integrations or multiple different layouts, we have everything inside DRC, and then we can keep only the mapping in the S4 side. and all the integration is centralized in just one platform, which is the BTP. So DRC is running under the BTP solution. Next slide, please. Okay, so about a little bit about the main scenarios and the compliance obligations. So we have functionalities to deliver the VAT and withholding tax reports, some financial reports like statement and assets, payroll and ledger reports are also being covered. Sales list, cash flow, invoices, as I mentioned in the B2B, B2G scenarios, and the ones that we need to integrate with the authorities, which includes also delivery notes, payment receipts, tax certificates, and tax receipt books. And these, all those functionalities is covered by the SAP document reporting compliance. And this is being, let's say, fed by all the SAP solutions, as we already mentioned, right? Like the S4HANA or ERP solution, Bring or Concur for the payroll information, and also all the other platforms and solutions that we have from SAP.
Yeah.
Cool. So, as I also mentioned, this is not new, but over the past years, we can see that the complexity of the obligations is just increasing, right? So it has started in 2011, and then Brazil, China, Denmark, and Korea were the first countries to adopt this kind of solution, right, with invoice. And then we can see that year by year it has increasing. So now we have almost all the countries having invoice requirements or statutory reports that we need to deliver in a digital way. And this is, let's say, this can be divided or explained in 4 or 3 main kinds of information, right? Which is the clearance and reporting. We have public procurement agents, B2D, right? And then we have also the digitalization and the integration business to business, which is the B2B, right? So even across the years, we can see that this is just increasing and increasing. And then DRC is here to help to cover all those in just one place. We will see in the next slide some samples of Fiori apps and some views that can have that can make this work much easier.
It's probably also important to mention the complexity changes from country to country, right, Bruno? Like Brazil, for example, India, a lot more complex than some of the more standard countries with the requirements.
Yes, exactly. That's really a very good point. So even Brazil started the invoice in 2011. This not means that nothing happened since from there, right? So it was started there, but year by year, the layout format was being changed. They released a new requirement, so then it becomes complex and more complex over the years. So yeah.
Similar in Greece and also India.
Exactly. Yeah. So here is some advances of invoicing. So as I mentioned, SAP now is really pushing or pointing to the cloud edition of the DRC. And the main difference here, also already mentioned, is that now they are releasing the country versions, which is much easier for the implementation, right? So let's say in the past, if you wanted to integrate or provide a solution for a specific country, then you needed to, in the most of the cases, build by yourself the integration and the mappings on the S4 side. Then you have, let's say, the core of the solution was in the DRC, but then you needed to implement the logic by yourself using BAPs, and also building from scratch the integration with the authorities or the partners, right? B2G or B2G, right? But now it's much easier, right? So SAP is releasing country versions that you can activate and almost plug and play in the cloud solution, right? So it's much easier now to adopt that. And SAP, you see on this slide, for example, just on this year, SAP has released the integration for Argentina, for Israel, mainly as we mentioned that PEPL now that's being used for many countries.
Yeah.
Solutions for Poland, Romania, Serbia, Slovakia, India, and Malaysia. So SAP is releasing in blocks, and each block contains a number of countries. We will see it's planned for the next month, the next SAP Summit for DRC, and they will probably release more and more countries and scenarios that will be covered by the DRC solution. So it's starting from now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, not only for country versions they have released this year, they also released some new functionalities, right? So as we mentioned, they are centralizing all the integrations in the DRC. So it's much easier now to integrate using the DRC. So they have the plug-and-play solution, and not only the integration by country, but also by scenario. We will show that SAP has a portal where you can check what scenarios are activated for the specific business scenarios and countries.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is that we have a harmonized way to check, to control, and to solve all the issues, right? So we see also some Fiori apps that are available that can check all the countries. And then the good thing is that is very, let's say, intuitive, right? So you can click, and then this will drop down and drill down all the information, and then it will go to other screen, and then you can click again, and then this will go deep up to the level that you need to solve the issue.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting the way that they have designed this functionality.
Yeah.
Document exchange, right? So I see PEPL as a core integration method for the coming years. So more and more countries are adopting PEPL, but we know that we still have in some countries with specific integration methods, and we have everything centralized in the DRC. So this is really good to have all the integrations in just one place to solve all the issues if needed, right? The report submission, which is where that we can submit the statutory reports using the access point of the PEPL network, because PEPL network is like a framework, right? So you don't connect directly with the authority, or you don't connect directly with the partner. So you just deliver the document, the invoice, to the PEPL network, and PEPL is the one responsible to deliver the document in the endpoint, right? So SAP is one of the access points that has this functionality. Also, it's being covered all the sending and receiving functionality, and also all the validation of the scheme message, right? So it's really good the way that they are doing that. They can also do some checks not only after, but they are doing some checks, let's say, in a proactive way. So if they identify that there's something that's not correct, that we have an issue, so they will point this you before sending the document, so then you can fix before sending this to the authorities or to the end partners. Okay. Mm-hmm. And other interesting and important is that instead of having the certificates split in a different integration, you can keep everything in just one place with the DRC. So then is where you can keep all the digital certificates to sign the documents, to send it to the authorities, all your passwords that you need to have to integrate with the portals. So everything in just one place in a very easy way to manage, right? And of course, one of the strongest points is the usage of analytics. So there are a lot of reports that are already available, and it's really easy to copy those reports, replicate that, and then do the adjustments that you want, right? With a different view, with a different field or source of information. So those were the main functionalities and features that were already delivered in 2024. And let's see what is coming next in the next month.
Yeah, analytics is really important. And as we discussed earlier offline, Bruno, let's see how much time AI can save us in DRC. And if we could see that in analytics as well, that'd be interesting.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, leads us on to the integration of AI.
Exactly, yes, that was a very good connection. So yeah, so here how the DRC is using or connected with AI and machine learning, right? So SAP is pointing to the cloud solution and also very integrated with AI and machine learning. So I would say mostly in the two different ways, right? So for e-invoice, I would say that's like a predictive analysis of the document, right? Mm-hmm. So SAP is checking what is the document that is being created and for who we are sending, right? We have different requirements if we are sending to authorities, B2B or B2G. And then DRC is checking in the platforms the errors that was happening with the other documents, comparing with the documents that is being generated. And then if there is something that can be an issue, you will receive a message. You can see this before you send the document, right? So it's really good because you have the option to fix that before you send, which would avoid any kind of problems with the partners or with the authorities. Okay,
would save you a lot of time, right?
Exactly. And then in the other part, in the other way, I would say that's more related to the payroll and also statutory reports that that more machine learning related to, that is checking every month all the closings and all the reports that you are sending, and also checking and identifying in the system what are the recurrent errors that you have in the system. So they will learn what are the recurrent errors, and then they will send alerts, right? So you can configure the workflow, who would be the persons that will be informed with by type or category of error, and also the ones that will be just informed or the ones that can take action to solve this kind of issues. So those are the main important topics related to machine learning in DRC for now. And I think that for the summit, they will release much more information, much more functionalities related to those two points.
Yeah, it's not long now, so just a month left to wait. Just a reminder also throughout to the audience to feel free to ask questions throughout, and we'll come to them at the end to answer them all.
Yes. So here, showing a little bit are some Fiori apps that are available in the DRC. And then here we have some part of the functionalities that are in the S4, where you have Fiori apps, and you have the document cockpit. You check all the e-invoices that are being generated. And you have also some reporting directly in the DRC and the BTP that can check also some messages, right? But then the main ones and the interesting ones that we would like to share with you, one is the Advanced Compliance Report, right? As you can see here, you can see like a chronogram of all the reports that the company needed to send. We have, let's say, the different countries and what are the dates. Then here you can check which ones are overdue, that we don't want that, right? But the ones that were already delivered, the ones that is the due date is today or next month or next week. So then you can plan the activities accordingly to delivery the obligations. And it's really good to have one single view, right, with all countries and all the obligations and how and where we are to deliver all of them. So it's really cool that. And one important thing here also to mention that is really interesting is that for one obligation, you have like a project, right, that you have the steps that you can configure to deliver that. SAP has all of them, I mean, or the most of them are available. But if your company has a specific one or a different scenario, then you can copy the scenario and then you can add steps. So it's configurable and it's really cool because you can change it to fit your needs. So it's really cool one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the cockpit for the invoices, right? So you have the document compliance cockpit here, and you can see here that you have the countries, and you can have different type of invoices for each country. Let's say Germany, that you have the Zugford, Ex-Rechnung, or PEPO invoices. So then you can see countries and what are the invoice types and what's the ratio and where we are in terms of documents that were generated, right? So if you have 100% that was issued correctly, if we have a half that has some kind of issue, or what are the ones that had the issue. So then also you click in a line, right? In that sample, they are click in the Spain S2 documents, then it will show the documents that were failed, and then you can click and this will open the document that has failed and showing what was the error. So then you can take actions to solve the error of this document. So it's also very interesting functionality.
Yeah, quite intuitive as well. Thanks, Bruno.
Because it's not only a report, right? It's a place where you can take actions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I mean, I think that all the that is the really cool part for me is that is all the reports, right? They have like a holistic dashboard. As I mentioned, everything is not only to visualize, right, to show you the information in a real-time way, but also allowing you to take actions, right? So you can have different views. You can build your own view if you want, right? So if there is a person that is responsible to just for a group of countries, right? You can create a view that will show, let's say, only the Europe countries or only the South America countries, and this person can be focused on what really matters to him, and then he can take actions on that, right? So you can have different views, different authorizations, and everything is ready to take actions. That's very important functionality.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so as I mentioned here, so for every obligation that you have, let's say the VAT reporting, you have some steps that you need to complete, right, to close the account, to perform the CO closing as well. But everything that you need to do, SAP has already the list, and then you can just use the list that's provided by SAP, or if you want, you can customize this list with more tasks or less tasks. So then you have a very good view on how is going the reporting and what is missing and who is responsible for what. And then you can also configure some workflows where people can be informed that, let's say, the process is stopped on him, and then they can perform the actions in order to move forward and complete the reporting. So it's really very intuitive and easy way to follow the tasks and avoiding any problems with the authorities.
Yeah, to see who the onus is on and who has to resolve the issue to move the process forward as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, so here you can see a very good view, for example, that can see what are the accounts and balances and the exchange rate, for example. And then you can also see a graphic view of that. So, and everything that you can click, you can filter, you can sort, you can see the hierarchy, you can double click, and then you go a level deeply, and then you can perform actions if needed. So, and everything is very customized. You can implement your own filter or own sort, and then this helps a lot, you know. And then the good thing is that once you create this template one time, so for the next month you don't need to do this again. So this will be available, and then you can reuse that, you know, and then you can each time make the things faster and better. Yeah, so it's really cool also as well.
Yeah.
And not only a report, but this is also a real-time information. So this is very important, right? Yeah, so Yeah, as I already mentioned here, so it's a way, it's just showing the start of the configuration, how to create your own scenario. So you can, let's say, VAT reporting for Spain. So SAP has the steps that need to be followed, the alerts that you can configure. So then you can copy, paste, and create your own, adding or removing steps and adding or removing workflows. And also checking, for example, selecting the range of accounts or the accounts type that you want to check, right? And also you can configure which is the delivery date, the due date, right? So then this will also affect the dashboard with the status, and it's very integrated and very helpful as well.
Yeah. Perfect. Then thanks very much, Bruno, for taking us through the key functionalities that are currently in trend for DRC. In the interest of time, I see we're almost halfway through. Shall we whiz through the industry-specific insights briefly alongside the case studies, Bruno?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Cool. So how's it vary sector by sector and industry by industry, Bruno?
Yes, exactly. So DRC is covering the countries that are listed in the SAP, right? And also different scenarios, as we mentioned, B2B, B2C, and B2G. But then what's the difference, right? So we can have different legal requirements in reporting by company segment or sectors, right? So we know that pharma has some different requirements from the automotive, which has different requirements from food and beverage. That's why SAP has different solutions that you can activate it, that can be activated in the solution. And what this will bring? This will bring a different e-invoice layout or format, right? So for PEPO, we have a specific format. For NFA, we have a specific format. For Zugford, we have a different one. And then this is covering all of them, right? So we have XML, we have PDF, we have XML embedded with the PDF, which is the case of the Zugford. We have flat file, or we have also synchronous communication. We have APIs, and I mean, everything is supported by SAP DRC, and integrating with the end partner or platform in the case of PEP, right?
Yeah. Bruno, sorry to interrupt. Which industry would you say is the most complex? Is it pharmaceutical?
Yeah, I think pharmaceutical is the most complex one. Yes, because it has more, as they affect, let's say, they have human drugs, and those kind of things. So you need to provide more information, so it's more complex. Yes.
There's room for error.
Yeah, exactly. And also the different integration and communication methods, right? So we know that there are certain types of e-invoice that you need to send by email, ones that you need to submit the approval in a portal, or for example, in the case of Brazil, to CEFAS, which is the authority there. So all those types of integration are covered: email, platform, portal, and all that's needed for a specific country and solution. So yeah. Okay. Here there is a link of the solution of the SAP DRC, where you can enter there and you can select the country, you can select which is the business scenario, and you can see what's available. So this document, as SAP usually do, is really good. So you can see the configuration that you need to do, what's required, and how to do in S4, also in the BTP part. So it's really good information.
And we'll be sharing this alongside a one-page summary of the key takeaways for all attendants alongside the video within the next week. So you'll have access to this as well.
Yeah. So,
stories.
Yeah, exactly. So here is sharing with the audience a little bit of our experience and some projects that we did. So the first one, it was a pharmaceutical company that was implementing the invoice solution in Germany. So in that case, it's really interesting because it's not e-invoice for Germany, right? Because there they were using 3 different types of e-invoice, and each one had a different requirements. So we had the PEPO, right? Which we needed to integrate with the platform. So for that, we deliver the document to the platform, and the platform is responsible to deliver this to the end customer or to the end part of the integration. Then they had extracting, which is basically the XML file. And then they had the Zuckford, which is the PDF with the embedded XML, and where requires a different type of integration, where email was the one to deliver to customers or also to the authorities. Then it was a direct integration with the authorities. So it was a really good project with very different types of integrations, and all of them covered by the SAP DRC. And then we had mainly the part in the S4, which was the mapping for the DRC. There are a specific SPRO path where you needed to implement some configurations there. And not only that, but you also have to implement some AEF mappings that we discovered during the implementation. And then here sharing a little bit about some lessons learned. So we have highlighted the license for the cloud services for the PEPL, and the activation of the services can take some days, between 1 or 2 weeks. So just to bear in mind of this when you are planning the project. Mm-hmm. Other thing is that PEPL has only 2 environments, which is the production and non-production. So if you have, let's say, if you want to test with development environment, or if you want to test with more than one test environment, so then you need to disconnect one and connect the one that you are testing. You cannot have, let's say, 2 test scenarios connected with the non-production environment of PEPL, right? One good news is that, for example, for the Zuckford, which is the one that we have the PDF with the embedded XML, you don't need to rebuild the smart form or the PDF from the scratch. It was possible to reuse the smart form that was being used by the previous solution, which was the output message. So we just needed to assign the smart form in the mapping of the DRC, and then it was good because this has accelerated and we don't need to build something from scratch. So it was really good. Another thing to pay attention is that some AEF mappings are required. It's described in the implementation notes from SAP, but those objects are not transportable. This means that you need to add them in the cutover list. And also we move the change and we're changing the system that you want to test or to go live. So then you need to repeat the same configuration, okay? The second one, project that we like to share that we did was a manufacturing company in Brazil. They were using the previous solution that SAP has to cover the Brazilian invoice and also reporting solution, which is the GRC and the TDF. The thing is that the GRC will be not more supported by SAP in 2026, and PIPO NetWeaver is also being discontinued in 2027. So they migrated the solutions not only for Brazil, but also for the other countries to the GRC and using cloud solution. And then one question that comes with that is, we know that, let's say in Brazil, we have a lot of own logics, right, and enhancements that we adapt these via BADs, right, which is very common in Brazil. And the question that comes is, oh, I lost everything that I did in the BADs, so I needed to re-implement all the logic again in the DRC solution. And the answer is no. The DRC is still using the same paths, so this means that the logic that we have implemented for the outgoing solution you reuse. So it's really good because this also makes the implementation faster. So same paths are being used, so you will not lose what you have implemented over all those years for the outgoing NFTs. Okay. For inbound, it's still using also the bots. So what you have in the bot is still being used, but we know that we have the incoming automation solution there, and there are some logics that are being implemented directly in the WebDim Pro. But as now, you will not use the same WebDim Pro, so this means that you lose this logic. So you cannot reuse that. So that's the bad news for the inbound and incoming automation for NFA. Yeah. So yeah, those are some insights that can help you. Yeah.
Getting rid of the discontinued solutions and in with the future-proofed ones.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so here we have.
Sorry, we have a brief overview of what's to come. Obviously, the summit is in just under a month now, so we should have some more insights then. But for now, we have a little bit of a sneak peek that we can whiz through before the Q&A in terms of what's to come in terms of future innovations.
Yeah, so about what is coming, we will have more information about the Summit event, but here we are bringing some topics that was already announced by SAP and it's not fully delivered yet, or about also some rumors, right? So basically, DRC, so we have then the management of the electronic documents, the reporting of the statutory reports and payroll as well. We have some legal forms creation and the submission and communication with those authorities, right? And then SAP has already introduced here so 2 new features, which is really interesting, which are connected with the AI and machine learning that we mentioned, right? So the first one is a functionality that is electronic document consistency checker that we will show a little bit more details in the next slides. And also the automated error notifications, which is a second step. So first you they are identifying the error or some checks that you need to do. And the other way is how you can send the notifications and also actions to follow up the error resolution. So here bringing the first one, which is the consistency checker. So here you can see the invoices that were issued. You can see by country, by scenario, and by document. So then you can check here the error before you send the document. So then you can take the action before submit that. The platform is checking the document against the documents that are stored in the tax authority system or the local platforms, or in the case of the PEPL, in the PEPL framework. So it's really cool. And the main value proposition of that is that you have a really real-time insights, right? Even before you send, you can practically fix that, avoiding any problem with the authorities or with the end partner. And you can also specify which constants that you want to check. You can adopt the ones that they are suggesting, or if you want, you can ask them to check specific fields or specific logic to implement. So, and then all of these minimizing the risk of non-compliance.
And of course, saving you a lot of time, because the back and forth with authorities is most often the most time-consuming part.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, and then also we have, or they have identified the issue, right? So you have the option here to trigger notifications, right? So you can set up the automatically notifications. You can specify specific owners for the issue resolution by category, by company code, or by sales organization, or by the specific organizational structure. You have also the functionality, let's say, to create manually documents to fix that. Or let's say that you cannot change the document, but you can create a document or that or memo, let's say, to fix that. You can specify which documents that will be used for those special cases to solve the issue, right? So these, as you already have everything predefined, right? So these will accelerate the corrections, right? This will maximize the efficiency by prompting of the monitoring also, right? And then this increase the usability from insights to actions, right? So it's really cool that you can automate this monitoring and also this error handling instead of sending emails to specific persons. Hey, my nota fiscal or my invoice is stuck there in the monitor. I need help. So everything will work more smoothly and automatically. So it's really cool.
Yeah, cool.
So our predictions for the future and how SAP will manage this is enabling the compliance of heterogeneous landscapes. As we mentioned, we know that this is every year is becoming more and more complex. So SAP is trying to centralize everything in the DRC solution. So even that we have different communication methods and different kind of integrations is core. And it's really good to have everything in just one place. So it's easier to fix, easier to manage and to monitor.
Yeah.
SAP is providing a very good foundation and transparent on that solution. So you can see that you can activate the business scenario for the specific country. And once you have the license for that, it's really fast and easy to implement. So then you just update the mapping on the S4 side or in the ERP side, and then you have this communication. It's really fast, the implementation. And then last one is the using more and more AI and machine learning, as we already see some Fiori apps and some functionalities that are already delivered or being delivered. And I'm sure that we'll see much more of this kind of functionality being delivered in the next month during the SAP Summit.
Indeed. And yeah, so that leads us over to the impact on the talent landscape and also the emerging roles within SAP DRC. So some trends and challenges that this has on the talent market in particular is increased adoption always means increased opportunity, right? So if you're a consultant that's solely focusing on SAP DRC, then this is all good for you because this increased functionality will drive adoption, which in return will drive opportunities for yourself. We obviously continue to see a shift to global markets and remote working like we have off the back end of COVID. But companies are realizing that it's no longer possible to tap into talent pools the way it was before without offering remote working opportunities and also leveraging global markets and global talent pools. Turnover is also always a topic, right? The bigger the talent crunch becomes, the higher the turnover becomes because opportunities increase, as I mentioned. But there's, of course, things that you can do to maintain this. Likewise, hiring costs and training costs, particularly with increased functionalities, increase the same way. But there's also some opportunities, right? So building trusted partnerships with consultants and staffing partners alike is really important in my eyes, because when that need arises and you never know when it does, then you have the support network to get you through that. Likewise, there's a massive opportunity in my eyes in efficiency when it comes to processes and making processes more efficient. What I mean by that is both the hiring process, whether it comes to interviews, etc., and also the onboarding process can sometimes be the difference between bringing on the right person and not. So I think there's a huge opportunity to make this process more efficient, which will in return benefit the overall implementation. And likewise, we'll see a shift towards DRC and BTP standalone roles being advertised, being hired, etc. Of course, working in tandem, DRC more so on the business side, whereas BTP is more so on the integration and technical side. Yeah, and then how can companies prepare for the future trends and innovation? So staying on top of the most important releases is of course important. That's why close collaboration with your SAP partner, integration partner, and the people in your network is very important. Participating in SAP events and also events like this will keep you up to date, and staying on top of the communication channels alongside the drop-down options, which Bruno highlighted earlier. And that takes us already to our Q&A. I see there's a few questions in the chat, Bruno. Let me see if I can read one out to you. So the first question I see, Bruno, is in Turkey, there is a e-solution most companies implement and most companies use this. How about in Europe? Is DRC most commonly used or is it the same as Turkey from your experience? You're on mute, Bruno.
Yep, sorry. Yeah, I think that mostly they were using before, right, the previous solution, which was PO. Now, in the last years, it's been migrated to the BTP, and now BTP is running the DRC, so the most of them are moving to the DRC. So DRC is the most common one now.
There's also another question on, I believe, the case study that you gave about the Brazilian manufacturing company. So someone asked, how does the SAP DRC solution improve on the existing processes that were in place in GRC and TDF, particularly for Nota Fiscal?
Yeah. So good question, Jack. Basically, the HRC will be no longer supported by SAP, right? So this means that you need to find a new solution, and the SAP solution that's being provided is the DRC. So the good thing is that in the GRC integration, you needed to implement the part of the integration by yourself mostly. And then with the DRC solution is just to select the services that you want. And then it's faster and easier for the implementation, right? In terms of TDF was more, it was more complex, I would say, in terms of configuration and implementation. So now you have all the business scenarios already available in the DRC, so it's easier to implement, and that you also have more flexibility to configure your own scenarios, right? So instead of coding, because TDF was they have, let's say, the structure, and then you have the BATs to implement your own logic. Now you have much more mappings that you can use from the DRC, which making the things more standard, more faster, and also all the reporting, right? So as we show here, instead different from the TDF that you could see the report, but it was not very intuitive and was not going drilled down up to the document that you needed to fix. The reporting part of the DRC is just amazing and allowing you to fix the issues much better.
Yeah, great. And also there was another question, Bruno, because it seems that you're very on top of not only the existing DRC solution, but also everything that's coming up. So Harry asked, he would like to hear from you what the best way is to upskill yourself on DRC, and if there's any trainings that you'd recommend.
Yes, I think that SAP has of course, that they have trainings, so you can find there by the training portal. There are, I think, 2 or 3 which are really interesting. You can connect with me in the LinkedIn, and then I can share with you those trainings. But also you can already find a lot of information in the community. SAP community is also already sharing the information, as this is like a kind of new topic, right? I think that the consultants are always sharing and helping each other, which is really good. So yeah, I think those are the main ones.
And finally, from Zina Banu, we're being asked, so Zina Banu is interested in advanced configuration and reporting of custom requirements. Is DRC reporting still SQL based and customizable further with this application, or via external connections?
I think that, I mean, just in the case that you want very specific something, you can use SQL, but in the most of the cases, you can do this in a visual way, right? So it's really good, the structure that they have created for reporting. So you don't need to have a very high skills to build your own reporting and views. So it's much easier now.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Bruno. And with that, we'll move on to the closing remarks and also the next steps. So as Bruno said rightly, you can definitely connect with him on LinkedIn. We'll share the link to his profile and mine also. In general, how can we support you and assist you in your SAP DRC's journey? So if there's anything that today stood out to you in terms of functionality, or in general you're interested in the DRC solution, you can get in touch with us, and I can happily talk you through the offerings that we have, and we can see which one is most tailored to you. In the question of time, I won't go into detail of each and every one, but I'm happy to do that individually on the call, and that'll be more tailored that way anyways. You can also find our capabilities and solution offerings on our website, which I'll link below also. Finally, in terms of future event and follow-up material, as I mentioned throughout, the recording shared of this, if there's anything you want to go back to and rewatch. Likewise, also we'll be putting together a one-pager summary, which will be released within the next week. And potentially, Bruno, if you're on board, this can be the start of the next webinar series, and we can do a recap after the SAP Summit to see if what we expected to come out actually came out, and what we didn't yet anticipate that actually then was released.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance, and thanks for joining us. Big thank you to Bruno for your time and preparation for this. I really appreciate it, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, guys.